And it informed a smooth exit if in fact that, they wanted Tim out of the workplace. They could have made it wildly easier, wildly less impactful on Tim, and gotten what they wanted. Maybe for a little money, maybe. But we'll get to that in a second. So Tim reached out to me after all of this happened. And, can you imagine, not only is it shocking, but then it's exacerbated by the fact that there's security hanging outside the door. I had security outside the door when I've conducted separations? Absolutely. But it's usually been under the premise that we were thinking that this person could become violent or things could get dramatic. And it was for our safety. It's yet one more thing that is a bit dehumanizing for Tim. Now, I'm going to assume, I don't know this, but I bet that after the decision was delivered to Tim, that security escorted him to his desk, packed up his things, and escorted him to the door. I've seen that movie before, and it is awful. Now, have I worked with managers to separate an employee before the original time frame of the PIP? Sure. If we've implemented a PIP and at day 60 of a 90-day PIP, we see no progress, the employee has just given up. And at that point, 60 days is a reasonable amount of time to make some sort of progress on what's laid out in the PIP. So, which would inform that we could say, okay, we gave them enough opportunity. They're not doing anything. We're going to just, end it now. That makes sense to me. But 90 days and then a check-in at 21 days, that's barely any time to kind of put stuff into play and then actually show some substantive results. So to me, they were just absolutely trying to put a paper trail together to inform the decision that had been made before they even put him on a PIP. And now, as we'll talk about in a second, again, I'm not a lawyer, but in my humble opinion, that manager has placed the company at risk of a lawsuit. What's the first red flag I see here is that HR is not even in the equation. And I'm going to assume that the company Tim works for is very similar to companies I've worked for, large corporations with probably a substantial HR department. And this manager most likely has an HR business partner. A couple things could be at play here. HR could have said, okay, manager, you're going to put your employee on a PIP. Here's the form. Go forth and conquer. I've seen that before. It's not great because I do think there needs to be some consultative support between the HR person and the manager to make sure that PIP is actually a smart goal.